Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first together Saturn Slam review of not one, but two shows.
Who shows?
There were two shows last weekend that we watched because we had nothing better to do. And one of them was a good show,
Yeah.
so it wasn't a complete waste of our time. We'll start with that one. So, NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. Back to Brooklyn. Back in the New York groove. Other subtitles related to New York and New Yorking things. Live from the Barclays Center, record NXT crowd of over 15,000 people. Which I guess is a big deal. Well, I guess it is, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was no, it didn't seem... It seemed like every other takeover. It wasn't, as big a... I felt like they didn't make as big a deal out of the record-breaking attendance as they should have. The first... Brooklyn 1 was the first large venue NXT show they ever did. It was 13,000 some odd people in the same building. They just opened up more of it this year. And they were like, "We are NXT Futures now!" Big Triple H promo in the beginning of the show. A lot of pomp and circumstance. Not so much with this one, but it was your takeover. So they did the stuff. Show opened anyway with Austin Aries versus No Way Jose. No Way Jose came out to the ring, got a conga line going, which I have to assume they were all plants because it would have been a security nightmare just to invite random people into the, or maybe they were pre-screened, because if they were plants, man, what casting agency or where they went to find these people, that's just amazing, because they were all perfect cross-section of people you'd expect to see at an NXT show. You had old fat guys, you had young girls and kids, you had everyone. And at the beginning of it all, a Dominican man whose name is Jose and is always being denied. Austin Aries came out wearing his cape, and as George's father, or maybe it was Jerry's father, someone in Seinfeld put, "Never trust a man in a cape." He came out doing his best Count Chocula impression. He got into the ring, and then they locked up and put on what was a better match than I was expecting, honestly. We hadn't seen No Way Jose have to wrestle a 15-plus minute match yet, so we didn't know if he could. We'd really only seen him in squash matches up to this point, but he
did pretty good, yeah.
He did pretty well. I was impressed. He held his own. There was no noticeable botches. They didn't do anything... he didn't do anything that made me go, whoa. But at the same time, he didn't do anything that made me go, ugh.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of just a strong technical match.
So, yeah, as far as wrestling matches go, you could do far worse than this. Austin Aries won with the Last Chancery, which is the coolest submission with the worst name in all of wrestling.
Last Chancery?
Yeah, Last Chancery. Like a constable building.
Oh.
I had to look up what a chancery was, because I didn't know either.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this is a building where, government officials work. I'm why doesn't he call it the Horns of Aries anymore? Much better name.
Much more fitting.
Anyway, after the match, Hideo Itami's music hit. He came down to the ring. Everyone was screaming. He laid out Austin Aries with the GTS, reclaiming his move that both CM Punk and Daniel Bryan had stolen from him. It was the first GTS he's hit on NXT television, so it was kind of a big deal in some ways, and it looks like Hideo Itami versus Austin Aries is your next program, which should lead to some pretty damn good matches. Next up was Ember Moon versus... I gave that match 2 3/4 stars. Again, No Way Jose was impressive, and Austin Aries continued putting on decent matches, and the segment afterward was pretty entertaining. Your average match, a little bit better than average, so I gave it 2 3/4 stars.
Right. Our next one was Ember Moon and Billy Kay.
It was your typical NXT debut squash match. Kay got in more offense than I was expecting, but at the end of the day, it was a squash match, and, Ember Moon looked good. She hit her fancy off-the-top rope turnaround stunner thing that she does, which she's going to kill someone doing that. Swear to God, she might need a new finish before the year's out because someone's going to get hurt during that. I can't. It's probably going to be her too.
Yeah.
Doesn't look particularly safe. I mean, I guess Ember Moon looked good, which is the point. I don't know if she's going to have a title program right off the bat, but right now they don't really have anyone set up to take on Asuka at the next Takeover special in October. But we've got some time between now and then, so we'll see what they manage to pull out of the hat. But yeah, as it stands, there's no clear challenger for the NXT Women's title.
Yeah.
Anyway, I gave this a star and a half. It was a squash match, not
mediocre.
A little bit below average, but you know it wasn't meant to be a Matt classic, and it wasn't. So next up we had Andrade Cien Almas versus the glorious Bobby Roode. The match peaked at the entrance, honestly.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode's entrance was fucking
because that hype was so
amazing.
Everyone was so hyped for that. Yeah.
That was like I was like after I saw that, I'm like I think I just came a little bit. Wow. That was impressive.
Feeling things I've never felt.
Yeah, match was pretty good, and it followed up the really good entrance. Bobby Roode didn't look nearly as good as Almas did here, but it was his first match. I'm sure there was a bit of nerves going, even though he's been around the block a few times. But the match wasn't bad. I gave it 3 stars. It was a little bit better than average. I thought it was solid. The entrance puts it over the top for me. I would have given it 2.5 stars, but goddamn that entrance.
Yeah.
He knows how to make an entrance.
It's the extra cherry on top.
And he won. Best part of it is the finishing move is called the Glorious Bomb.
It's so fitting.
That's just the best. That's the best, honestly. Like, that's so meta. I can't even handle it.
Yeah.
Before we started the show, I told Peter, you know, we got a real match of the year candidate on our hands here. And I thought I was referring to Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Turns out I was referring to the Revival versus DIY. Because holy shit, this match.
Mm-hmm.
This was tag team wrestling as good as I've ever seen tag team wrestling. The
just
crowd
all
was,
the notes.
Yeah, the crowd was hot for it. I bought into every near fall. Like, everyone was so good. The Revival, like, I was really pissed off at the end of the match because of the Revival winning and how they won, and like I got so hot, I was like a mark again for a second there. I was like, wow, these guys are good at being heels because they got me to hate them, and I love heels.
Mm-hmm. It's like when they can actually like give you that real visceral response.
Yeah,
that's
you were
how
like,
you know.
Son of a bitch. But oh my god, Gargano and Ciampa are on just a whole nother level right now. I have a feeling they might get called up to the SmackDown.
Yeah. That'd be pretty alright.
So I guess we'll jump ahead a bit to Tuesday. They're doing an 8-team now, because Heath Slater found a partner, an 8-team tag team tournament to crown the new SmackDown Interdimensional Tag Team Champions, or whatever they're fucking calling it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, American Alpha is definitely going to win that, but they need an opponent for Rhino and Slater, and this match kind of felt like maybe an exit for them.
Right. Give them a setup.
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
But certainly not going to be heartbroken if we see them against we'll probably see them against the Revival at the next Takeover. Because once they leave, tag team division's kind of sparse. You got Authors of Pain, TM61, Will-O-Wisp, and the Revival, and that's it. You have DIY now, but if they get called up to SmackDown, obviously they're not going to be there.
Right.
But anyway, this was match of the night, match of the year candidate, best tag match I've seen since 2001, probably. I don't know, that might be overstating it a little bit, but recency bias is a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, after a while of mediocrity, something that really comes along and gives you that extra spark is really worth it.
Yeah, like it is a 2-on-2 tag match. This is as good as I've ever seen. Like I like the Wyatt family versus the Shield, but that was a 6-man tag, so that doesn't really count. Next up, we had Asuka versus Bay, aka the future Mrs. Bennett, aka Bailey. And this was a good match. It was better than the match they had in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Although
Learned
the
a little
crowd,
bit from
the
last
crowd
one.
being a little bit hotter for this, not having to follow the Zayn Nakamura match. Although not like the tag match was
Yeah.
any easier and act to follow, but they had enough time as a cool down for it because the video package for this one was pretty long. They put on a better match than they put on in Dallas. Oh, I gave the other match 4.5 stars. Best match of the night, best match of the weekend. It just felt like it was missing something.
Yeah, it wasn't...
Like I couldn't tell you what it was missing, but it wasn't Bayley versus Sasha Banks at this pay-per-view last year. It just was missing some special thing. Like there was no spot that made me go wow. It wasn't a bad match by any means. It was very good, but it wasn't great.
It didn't put anything in your memory that said, I'll remember that match.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Asuka's matches. She's good, but like every time I see her wrestle, and granted I've only seen her wrestle like 3 people. Every time I see her wrestle, like she just does her match, and her match isn't a bad match, but it's not a great match. I've yet to see a truly great Asuka match. I mean, we'll see it eventually. I'm sure she's talented for sure, but something about maybe it's I don't know. It's something about the matches she's had leaves me want. I feel like she can do more. Is what my problem is. Like I feel there's
needs that
more
push.
she can give. She needs the I don't know. She needs the right opponent, and I can't really think of anyone better than Bayley because I think she's the best female wrestler, and one of the better wrestlers in general on the roster right now in the company. So I can't think of like who you'd need better than that, but sometimes 2 great people don't have chemistry. Similar story in the main event, and I call it the Edge Chris Jericho paradigm.
Right.
Because they're both great wrestlers, but for whatever reason, their matches were never as good as they really should have been.
It just didn't mesh.
Yeah, styles don't mesh. There's a lot of stuff that chemistry is as important as anything else. You can put 2 of the best workers in the ring together, and if their styles don't match, then you're going to get a bad match.
Mm-hmm.
Which I gave that match 3.5 stars. Which brings us to the main event, Joe versus Nakamura, and this is another one. It never really felt like it hit that 3rd gear. Like they beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
This looked more like an MMA fight than it did a wrestling match. Like they were just
brutish,
hitting the piss out of each other. I'm surprised no one got hurt. Well, I guess Samoa Joe did have his jaw dislocated.
Yeah, that would do it.
But like, I don't. It looked like it was going to be much worse. But like, Jesus, these guys hit into each other. But like, it was slow and methodical, and it never really hit that 3rd gear. Like it was building toward the end, and then you had a little bit of like what you would see in like the 2nd act of a match where they're hitting some big moves, and then it just ended.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like you really wanted to see some real climactic stuff happen, and I just didn't quite get there.
I don't know what I expected. Like this, honestly, looking back at it, this is the match I expected these 2 to have. Like, I expected it to be a fight where they just beat the shit out of each other.
Right, because they're both brutal
yeah,
wrestlers.
That's their style. So I don't know what I was really expecting, but I guess just if this match, it went a decent amount of time. It went like 20 minutes, I feel.
Mm-hmm. And it could have gone some different places.
Yeah, but I felt like, I don't know, it just didn't seem to really get into that 3rd act of the match. Like at the end of the Nakamura Zayn match, they were trading near falls all over the place, and big move after big move, and it really felt like a climactic ending. This one, it just kind of felt like, oh, okay, you're gonna end the match there. Okay, I guess it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. 3 stars for the match. Nakamura is your new NXT champion. Asuka retains over Bayley. The Revival retain over DIY. Rude beats Almas. Ember Moon beats Kay. And, as we said, Aries beat No Hey Jose. On to SummerSlam.
Yeah, so I really went into this, like, I went over it a couple times, and so you notice I didn't say any of my ratings for any of the matches back there, because I just kind of watched that, and I was thinking that SummerSlam is going to be kind of the meat of this, because it's got a lot of matches on there.
Too many matches.
Yeah. It's
far
4 hours.
too many.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours. There was like 16 matches or something ridiculous on the card, and it's too many.
Right.
Like, they didn't learn their lesson from WrestleMania, where if you have 2 matches, the crowd's just, they're tired by the end of it. Like, as much as I love wrestling, I was tired by the end of the show. And I only watched half of the show.
Right. It came in, I'm
The
like,
first
oh,
time.
oh, no. So my rating system is a little bit different once I'm coming in on this. Kurt is going from 1 star to 5 stars.
I go from -5 stars.
Okay,
to
I'm
5
also
stars.
doing that. Okay, I didn't realize you were going...
There was just no match that bad. Like, my star criteria are different. Like, -5 stars is the worst match I've ever seen.
Okay.
I've only, like, given 2 matches that ever. And they were both in TNA.
Okay, I'm a little more lenient about going to the limits. So for me, -5, -4 is a memorably regrettable match. Anything that you remember that was a bad match. I remember that match and it was really bad.
Right.
-3 is like, that was a really bad match for those wrestlers. Like, when I think of, like The Miz, I think of his good matches and his bad matches. Like, a -3 would be
Good
one
matches.
of his... Yeah.
That's not fair. He's had some good matches. They weren't because of him, but he's been in some good matches.
Right. And it's the opposite for plus stars, right? And around 0 for me is just like, it was a mediocre match.
Okay.
Either good or bad.
So yeah, if you haven't determined, 2 stars for me is average, 1 star is bad. Anything 0 or negative is really bad. 5 stars is match of the year candidate. 4 stars is really, really good. And 3 stars is above average. 1 star, 2 stars being average, and 1 star being below average. So, bearing that in mind, we get to SummerSlam. We'll just briefly run down the pre-show. I didn't watch any of the pre-show matches because it was just too much. You had all the tag teams on SmackDown match. American Alpha got the pin. Faces went over the heels. They were teasing an Usos heel turn. That's going to happen. American Alpha versus the Usos is definitely going to be your tag team program on SmackDown moving forward. Sheamus beat Cesaro in the first of their best of 7 series. Yay, we have to watch 6 more matches of these two.
Great.
They're not bad in the ring, but it's just, there's no stakes for this best of 7. I can't remember a best of 7 that wasn't for like a title.
Right, this is just...
It's just 2 guys having matches for the sake of having matches. And I don't even remember what the other pre-show match was, so obviously it wasn't that important. Main show kicked off with Jericho versus Enzo and Kaz. Enzo and Kaz come out to the ring. He started spitting some Biggie lyrics that I was really afraid he was going to take credit for being his own. Thankfully, he did not, and he cited his source appropriately.
Good for him.
He started doing the "It was all a dream," and like the crowd continued half the song for him before he went to his next lines. Promo was good. They did their typical shtick.
Right.
Jericho and Owens came out, and they had a Raw tag match.
Yeah, it was... I agreed. It was just kind of like, it was there. It wasn't anything super special. And
It was
I
a
felt
TV
like
tag match.
Enzo in specific felt really weak this match.
This match, I don't want to say... I mean, usually, I don't know necessarily how good a singles wrestler is, because I wasn't watching NXT at the time, but, he's really good at taking the heat. You can get the heat on him, beat the shit on him for, 35 minutes. He hits the hot tag to Big Cass runs wild. It's their formula, it works, they're a good tag team, but he looked really bad in this match. Really bad.
Yeah, I thought it was just going to be, one-sided, E and C were not doing so well, but then Big Cass came in and he was pretty strong.
Yeah, he hit the hot tag. He did his thing. End of the day, Jericho win. I don't know how long they're going to be a tag team, but I'm enjoying the ride so far. They're great together. They're hysterical. I love them walking up the man. I love you, man. No, I love you, man. It was great. Great assholes. I gave this match 1 3/4 stars.
I gave it, a 2. So for me, that's just a pretty good regular match.
Yeah, it was a match that I'd expect to see, in the opening hour of Raw. Not exactly a pay-per-view match. So next we had Sasha Banks versus Charlotte, which was a pretty good match. They did their typical spots where they're trying to kill each other. I don't know why they go so crazy as often as they do. But they had their spots. They did them. It was a good match. It was not as good as the match they had on the Raw after the brand split. That match was much better. And curiously enough, Charlotte won. So my first thought when Charlotte won was, oh, is Sasha getting suspended? Because that's what they did with Roman Reigns. They had him drop the title, and then he got suspended. And, a bunch of people have been getting suspended lately. And they said there were more coming, so figure maybe her name's on the list. I have since read that she has some nagging injuries that she's going to take some time off to heal. She also was recently married, so she's probably going to go on her honeymoon.
Right.
But it was not originally planned for her to have a less than 1 month title reign.
Right.
So Charlotte winning it back was unexpected.
I felt I don't know, I just saw the match differently. For me, I didn't like it as much. I felt Sasha did really great. And maybe it's just me that I don't like Charlotte, but I felt like when she was playing it, she's just not good for me. The word I want to say when I was in the heat of the moment, like, Charlotte's dumb. She's dumb. Because, I don't know, I just feel like she has, a lot of her stuff is really straightforward. And
yeah, she has a reputation to phone it in, and I've
finesse.
I've thought this a long time about Charlotte, is that her offense doesn't look as good as it can. Like, she's got an alright finish, and her moonsault is pretty. Everything else is kind of meh.
Yeah. And the other thing, as a side note, I don't know, it's more kind of a nothing thing, but she couldn't keep the hair out of her eyes. Like, every other woman wrestler that I saw in the match could keep the hair out of their eyes. They could do the whips, they could keep it, but she had, all over. She was looking like she's got some Roman Reigns going on.
It's like, remember that match we were watching? I don't even remember what pay-per-view it was. Probably fucking Fastlane or some shit like that. And, her boot was, inside out. I was like, fix your fucking boot, you dumb whore. She's not a whore. Well, no. She's been married too many times. She's catching up to her father in that regard. But yeah, Charlotte goes over here. I predicted that Bayley was probably going to show up on the next Raw and challenge for the title. She did. Yep. So that's going to be the next program moving forward. She'll probably win it back, if not at Clash of the Champions, at Hell in a Cell. And then by that time, Sasha will probably be back, and she'll turn heel on Bayley, and they'll pick up their feud. I don't know. It might be a little early, though. That to me seems like the clear-cut WrestleMania match is Sasha versus Bayley.
Yeah.
But Hell in a Cell of WrestleMania is a hell of a long way to stretch a feud. So she might not turn heel right away. She might be frenemy, and they'll do a slow burn heel turn, and if you turn her around Royal Rumble-ish, that'll probably be fine.
Yeah.
And then you can do the match at WrestleMania. But that's where I see that going.
For me, yeah. So for me, that match was -1.5 stars.
I gave it 3 stars. I thought it was pretty damn good. It was one of the better matches on the night. That might have affected my rating for it. It was not as good as the Raw match, and it's not as good as these two can do, obviously, because they already had a better match.
Right.
But it was pretty good, and when you look at it in comparison to the rest of the card, it stacks up pretty well. Next we had The Miz versus Apollo Crews, and just this match.
Yeah.
Why is The Miz Intercontinental Champion is my question. You had plenty of times to change the belt. And honestly, you should have put the belt on Cesaro when you had the chance and drafted him to SmackDown. But no, they kept it on The Miz. They let The Miz run off and film the Marine 5 while champion. That's not devaluing the belt or anything. And he's had good matches with people like Cesaro and Sami Zayn. That's not exactly a hard thing to do. And, this match, Crews showed that he can wrestle, but his offense still looks stiff. He does a lot of high spots. He still lacks quite a bit in ring psychology. They called him up way too soon. He would have done a lot better with another 3 or 4 months in NXT. Maybe even as much as a year. And then The Miz won with a distraction from Maurice. Same way he's won pretty much every time
it always
since
does
he's
it.
gotten the championship. Which I understand it builds heat, but who are you going to put the belt on now? Kalisto and Corbin are in a program. How many more Apollo Crews versus The Miz matches do we want to see? I mean, are you going to drop Dolph Ziggler back down into the IC title picture and have him win? It's kind of weird. I think he's building towards a heel turn now, and no one wants to see a heel versus heel match. So I don't know what you do from here. We'll probably have one more match with Apollo, and then from there, unless you bring someone back, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I truly have no idea where they're going with this, and it's kind of a shame to see the Intercontinental title kind of slide down
And just
to
kind of
where it's at now.
sit there and not really be of too much importance. Yeah, so I gave it a 2.5. It would have been a 3 if The Miz was a little less Mizzy,
Yeah.
because this was a memorable match for me for Apollo Crews for me.
Yeah, I gave it 2 stars. It was decidedly average. I'm pretty sure I've seen this match on TV at least twice beforehand.
Yeah.
Probably not, though, because they advertised it as the first time they've ever met. Whatever. Doesn't matter. On to AJ versus Cena. This was a really good match. It was the match of the night, but it was the typical last match of a John Cena feud. Where, like, he has the really good match the first time, and the second match is not quite as good as the first one, and by the third one he's like, well, let's just hit a bunch of finishers and kick out of them. Which, there were so many near falls in this match, it was almost to the point of being self-parody. Just near fall after near fall after near fall. But it was still a good match. I gave it 4 stars. Probably, as a match, no more than 3.5. But the fact that they finally had someone win a feud against Cena, and that someone was AJ Styles, made it a 4-star match for me.
Yeah, it was definitely, it had all the hallmarks of a... I gave it 5 stars for me, but I'll explain that in a little bit. It has all the dynamic things of a good match, which I always look for, which are that they actually are putting energy into all of their moves. They're putting real effort into the match, like, because some you feel are a little bit robotic,
Yeah.
a little bit stiff, but it had that pizzazz that I really rarely see. And I say it's a 5-star match because it made me think differently about John Cena a little bit, because I came in, and when I came in, all John Cena has been to me is kind of a half joke sort of guy. He's the one that everyone loves to dump on, despite trying to be the underdog.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's plenty of reason for it. I'm not a big John Cena fan, so I blame myself for quite a bit of your outlook on John Cena, because of how I feel about John Cena.
But he hasn't helped that either. He hasn't given me anything to be like, he can be really good. Until now. This was a match that showed me, like, when John Cena really cares, he can put in some
when
darn
he's
effort.
in there with someone like AJ Styles or CM Punk or Shawn Michaels, people who can, or Cesaro or Sami Zayn or Seth Rollins, people who can get good matches out of anyone, he more than holds his own. He can make the match better than it would be if you put, say, me in there.
Right.
But, like, on his own, when he's the better worker in the match, you're in trouble. You get shit like 2010 John Cena matches against The Big Show, which were just awful to sit for. Just awful.
I can imagine that.
Just really bad. But AJ won clean, without any help, in the middle. 1, 2, 3. Hit a Styles Clash. He's like, I ain't done with this fucker. Went up top, hit the forearm, pinned him. Clean in the middle. And now he's your number 1 contender for the WWE title. I almost said Universal title, but thank God that thing's on Raw. Because I've mostly been watching SmackDown lately, because it's been far and away the better show. So that was kind of the peak. And the crowd was really tired after this match, and they were not really feeling anything else on the card.
Yeah.
So next up we had the Club versus New Day. When are they going to take the belts off the New Day? Did they realize that, hey, Demolition is actually the longest reigning tag team championships with 478 days, and they're going to have them carry the belts for that long? I
Yeah.
hope not.
Yeah.
If there was a time to put the belts on the club, it was Sunday. That was the time.
Mhm.
And now you've beat them again. And I don't want to sound like, oh, they've buried the club, but they haven't done a whole lot of winning. They lost to the Usos when they were involved with the AJ Roman storyline. They broke them up from AJ, which was stupid because that was such a good act. And now, when you have the chance to, give them some credibility and give them a win, I mean, it's been over a year since the New Day won the tag titles. It was as good a time as any to put the belts on the club, but they didn't do it. You had Jon Stewart in there, which, granted, he was the most entertaining part about this match.
I was happy about that. Definitely.
And then you had Big E come back to make the surprise save, and it was a DQ finish.
Yep. And, for me, I gave, I see here... Craig
2 stars.
2 stars, yeah. I said 3 stars. I liked it because I don't, I hadn't put it in context. I wasn't thinking about the history of what has been going on for the past couple weeks as I watched this, and I was like, oh, it's Jon Stewart. And the Big E came back, and they did the things, and it was pretty cool, and Kofi did good stuff. And then, but with that, yeah, I could bring it down to a 2. Also, Big E drank the formaldehyde thing, which looked like piss. It looked like piss.
I don't know, if that was supposed to be, ball juice, any way you cut that, it should not have happened. Just, there was no reason for it. There was no real explanation for why. It was just something that he did for some strange reason. On to the biggest disappointment of the night for me, and that was Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose.
Yeah.
The build for this match was so good. Both guys were killing it on the mic. I was looking forward to this match. And then when it came time, push came to shove, I don't know if they were mad that they didn't get enough time, because this match did not go as long as I feel a WWE title match should have gone, and it ended very abruptly. I don't know if they were pissed off that they didn't get enough time, but they really kind of phoned it, especially Dolph, really phoned it in here.
Yeah.
And if anything, this is the match that you should wrestle your ass off in, Dolph, to prove to everyone that you are a credible main eventer. Because you made this match what every naysayer said it would be, a mid-card match from 2013. And when I saw this match, you know what I saw? A mid-card match from 2013. Dean Ambrose tried to tell a story where he was showing off like Dolph usually does. He was teasing him, he was making fun of him, but what did Ziggler do? He wrestled his usual match. He had all the same Dolph Ziggler spots he's hit in every fucking match for 3 years, and just didn't care.
Squandered
there was no fire to his performance. He's had much better matches in the past 16 months than this, and this was the match he needed to deliver in. He had a much better match than this on SmackDown with AJ Styles. That match, I would have given 3.5 stars. This one I gave 2.25 stars to.
Yep. I would have given this 0. It would have been a 0 for me. But it's SummerSlam, and you can't do a 0 match. You can't have a mediocre match at SummerSlam. That's not what you do there.
There's plenty of mediocre matches on this fucking card.
But I brought it down to -1, -1.5.
Yeah, it was just not. And the finish, my God, the finish. Dolph's up trying to superplex Dean Ambrose, and I guess he slips or something happens because they both fall off the top rope but land on their feet, and then Dean hits Dirty Deeds and pins him. The finish just came out of nowhere. There was no real build to it. And I talked about a match not really hitting third gear. This match maybe didn't even hit second.
It was kind of messy. And
it was messy. When Ziggler went on offense, and this is something he does all the time, he just goes through his comeback too fast. He doesn't let any move sink in and have impact. He just runs through him. He's like, "This is my comeback. I'm gonna do it in record speed." And all the criticisms you can have about Dolph Ziggler were present in this match. And it was a shame, because this was a match I was looking forward to. They did a great job making it seem like a credible main event match. and then they put it on like fourth from the top and give it 12 minutes, and it was just really a disappointment. This was one of the matches I was looking forward to most, and it was one of the matches that disappointed the most. So I was really upset about it.
Yeah.
That brings us to the Every Woman on SmackDown tag team match. Eva Marie got hit with a wellness suspension right before SummerSlam, and I was so hoping that the announcer guy was going to go, Eva Marie is not able to compete due to a suspension, or something meta like that. They said that she would be going on a vacation due to like stress and mistreatment from fans, which was good, but it would have been great if they said a 30-day vacation.
Yeah.
That would have made me laugh.
That would have been really funny.
But taking her place was the returning Nikki Bella. She got a big pop from this Brooklyn Cloud, and I want to take a brief aside here.
Okay.
I don't get like all the internet fans' appreciation for Nikki Bella. She's not that good.
Yeah.
Like, she used to be awful, and now she's not as awful. And I guess they see that as her being this great revolution for the women's division. And, like, she had matches with Paige all of last year. And Paige is one of, like, the top 3 or 4 wrestlers in the women's division when she's healthy and trying. And she was during that feud. And those matches were terrible. Terrible. And if you want to say that Paige was the problem in those matches, I have some quality swampland I would like to sell you. Anyway, this was really a nothing match.
Who was all in it? Like, I forget.
You had Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella who just thank God for her heel turn on SmackDown this Tuesday, because she was dying a miserable death, separated from Enzo and Cass. Why they split her from them, I will never understand.
Yeah, that actually makes it a lot. That actually redeems her a lot for me, because I was like, oh, she's just really obnoxious, and that's her thing. But then I'm like, oh, you said it. She's with Enzo and Cass, and it clicks all of a sudden for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, you had Natalya, Nikki Bella, and Alexa Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just like, this felt like a pre-show match that they put between the 2 title matches to cool the crowd down a little bit. Nikki got the pin with her new finisher, the TKO, which I always knew as the Hawaiian Smasher. I guess they're calling it a TKO now. Same move that No Way Jose used as his finisher. I guess, I mean, she hurt her neck and people think it was the rack attack, but I look at the rack attack and I'm like, I bet some doctor who doesn't know shit about wrestling saw that move and was like, oh yeah, that's what hurt your neck. Because I can't imagine, like, on your shoulder, sure, but I don't think it's going to compress a vertebrae in your neck doing the fucking rack attack. The TKO is too similar to. Someone's going to fuck it up because they think she's going to go for the rack attack and take it like a rack attack, and then it's going to look really dumb. I don't know why she doesn't just use her fucking forearm as her finisher, because that move is over, and now that Wade Barrett isn't around anymore, she's the only one. She would be the only one with a forearm as a finisher, unless you count AJ Styles, but his is better.
Whatever.
But Nikki won. She's like, I'm back. They did the double turn with her and Carmella on SmackDown, so she's a face again, presumably. She's probably going to win the SmackDown belt because she's fucking John Cena, and that usually puts you toward the top of the card. She's not. I heard a rumor about that too, that was going to happen. She's probably not going to have a long title reign though. Thank God, because there's one person on that SmackDown roster that deserves to be champion, and that's Becky Lynch. She was the only one that really did anything of note in this match, except for Nikki Bella, who got the decisive pinfall.
Right.
But it was just...
It was there.
It was there, and then we had the Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins match.
Would you rate it? 1 star?
I gave it 2.5 stars.
Okay, I gave it 1.5.
The women's tag? 1 star. 1 star.
I gave it like 1.5. For me, it was I gave it a little more because like that's kind of what SummerSlam. That's part of the job of SummerSlam is to kind of like advertise a lot.
I understand to get everyone on the card, and like there should like all of these women in some way, except for maybe Carmella and Naomi and Natalya. So most of the women in the match deserved a spot on the SummerSlam card, and they just decided to get them all in there in one thing. I like how they used Eva Marie's suspension to continue to build heat with her, continuing the angle that she's looking for ways to get out of wrestling. It's building a lot of heat for her. But the problem is eventually it's going to have to pay off in a match. And then you have to watch Eva Marie wrestle, which no one wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only other thing that was noteworthy for me for that match was the part where Naomi jumped up on, who else? Was it Carmella's shoulders and, like, twerked in her face?
It would have been Alexis, I think.
Alexis, yeah.
Carmella was on her team. Naomi is just the most talented athlete, but she has the dumbest moves. Like, if she, like, refocused and, like, did serious wrestling moves, she would be very good. But she does that stupid, like, quick alternating kicks, and her finisher is the rear view, where she just jumps her ass into your face. Which, granted, she's got a lot of booty, and it would probably hurt.
Yep. It's just it strikes me as one of those things, like, in a
sport... But it's the dumbest fucking finisher ever.
In a sport with a lot of, like, you know, a lot of gratuitous outfits, like, for a young boy, I feel like there was a few awakenings there.
Oh, yeah.
For some of those moves.
I'm sure some pants shrunk at some point during the match. Like, she has... I like a booty on my girl, but she has perhaps too much booty. Like, there's a lot of junk in that trunk. Hot damn, though. And her entrance is cool now.
Yeah,
like, I like her new entrance. That I like a lot.
That makes sense.
The fucking globe shoes are too much for me, though. I understand that's the gimmick, but, like, I thought they were stupid when it wasn't the gimmick, and I still think they're stupid now that it is the gimmick. So we had Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Universal title. A terrible name with a worse-looking belt. My God. This thing. All the belt designs suck now because they're all fucking the same. Like, the SmackDown women's title is the same as the Raw women's title. It's just blue instead of fucking red in the middle. Mm-hmm. And the tag belts on SmackDown are... I mean, they look better than the Raw ones because it's silver, not fucking pennies. And it's on a blue strap, which I think goes well with the silver. But aside from that, this fucking thing looked like...
Describe it for the folks at home.
A jam jar with the WWE logo smacked on it. It's a red strap with the WWE nameplate like it is on the regular title, but there's no background on the nameplate. It's just the diamonds on the ugly-ass red strap. It's the worst thing ever. So bad, in fact, that was all the crowd cared about for this match. They made fun of the belt the entire fucking time. They wrestled a pretty good match. They didn't have as much time as I feel they needed to tell the story. Also, I'm getting to the point where Finn Balor might not be as good as I think he is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of his matches with people that he should have had good matches with, he didn't really have good matches with. Seth Rollins thoroughly outworked him here. Mm-hmm. And he got himself hurt. And people are going to blame Seth for it. But if you look back, maybe he may have been a step too far away from the barricade when he threw him. But if you look at it, Finn fucked up his own shoulder when he tried to catch himself on the barricade with his goddamn arm. If he had just taken the bump like everyone else, he would have been fine. But no, he fucked up his shoulder. Now he had to vacate the belt. He's out for 6 months. Good job, Finn. Good job.
Oof. Yeah.
I mean, I understand that he wanted to brace himself because getting a concussion is no fun, but neither is tearing the labrum in your shoulder. And I'm not even sure he probably would have hit... He may have hit his head. But it looked like Seth threw him far enough where he would hit with his back on the barricade like he normally did, because if he kept his arm down, his back would have hit the fucking barricade. Wow.
Yeah.
It was an okay match. Seth used the God's last gift, small package, suplex driver, which I hadn't seen him do since his ROH days, and it's fucking amazing. And Finn hit with his pretty weak-looking finish. I've never liked the coup de grace as a finisher, but it looked pretty weak on this show, especially. Like, half of Finn's offense was sling blades, which didn't really do it for me. He got the win here, which is encouraging that they put the belt on him, make him look like a big deal, but, you know, he got hurt.
So,
And it's kind of sad because the next program was going to be him versus Kevin Owens,
yeah.
which, from their NXT title match, I know are pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Kevin Owens works well with everyone, but, Finn Balor works well with Kevin Owens, I guess, is the more important things, because we have to pick good opponents for Finn, because Finn himself, I guess, is not as good as we think he is.
That's a shame, too. Come out.
Like, everyone, I just kind of accepted it as true, because everyone was like, oh, Prince Devitt, and yeah, he was much better in Japan. The thing is, he needs to be a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Finn Balor's a terrible babyface. His comeback sucks. He's terrible at working from underneath. He needs to work on top, like he did in a few matches in NXT when he wasn't really a heel, but they were kind of like teasing like he might turn. He needs to work on top. That's the best way he works, and they should have done the double turn here with the club interfering, but they didn't. Especially at the beginning with the segment with AJ and him and the club. They teased it, and if I didn't see this match beforehand and then go back and watch the beginning of the show, I'd have been very disappointed that the club didn't come out and he didn't turn heel. But, they're having a fatal 4-way this Monday to determine the new Universal Championship. It's got Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Big Cass in it. If I had to pick, I think the time is now. Put the belt on Kevin Owens.
Yep.
You could put the belt on Rollins, but like I had read that they were going to try to put him and Roman Reigns out of the title picture for a little bit, and I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is as ready a main eventer as there is in the company. He's probably more ready to be a main eventer than some of the people currently in the main event.
Yeah, he's been raring for too long.
Put the World Championship on him and watch your ratings steadily go up. Make Raw the Kevin Owens show. I gave this match 2.5 stars. It was kind of what I expected from these two, but it felt more like a TV main event than a world title match on the second biggest show of the year.
Yep, that's a 2-3 stars for me. It's just like it's a pretty good match, more like a 2 stars.
It definitely wasn't a bad match.
Yeah.
And compared to some of the shit on this card, like the actual main event, like we'll get into.
Oh my god. Yeah.
It wasn't bad. So Roman versus Rusev. Roman Reigns, supposedly being punished for his wellness suspension, was in a mid-card match that went on after both World Championship matches.
Yes. What was this supposed to be?
A way to move him down the card. And this match was especially egregious because they gave away this exact same match, only not for the title, as the 20-minute main event for free on TV. And then this match was a non-match, and they just brawled outside, and then Reigns hit the spear on Rusev. You should have done that on Raw and the match on SummerSlam.
It's what you have SummerSlam for, to have good matches. Like we said before, the only thing that came out of this that I remember was like, it was either maybe it was the Balor Rollins match, but someone got hit in the face, and the commentators are like, you do damage to his nose, and that limits his breathing. If you can't do that for a while, he's going to be out of the match. I'm like, side note here,
Standing go.
I loved how they shat on Bryan Saxton.
Oh, that's the best part about Corey Graves. As good as Corey Graves is at everything he does, shitting on Byron Saxton is like a top 2 talent of his, and it's beautiful. Like, honestly, that's the only reason I'm okay with the free-man booth on Raw, is just so you can have Byron Saxton there for Corey Graves to continually shit on. Just great. This match, or non-match, wasn't great. I gave it half a star, because it wasn't a match, but it did a little bit to advance the program. Further teasing the elusive Reigns heel turn. The same source that told me that Kevin Owens would have been in the title picture had Finn not been hurt, suggested they were edging toward a double turn with Rollins and Reigns, which you should have fucking done at Money in the Bank, honestly.
Yep.
Or at least Battleground.
That was there for them. They had the time twice now.
It was Battleground probably would have been better because you'd want Dean to cash in on a heel.
Right.
But you should have done it already, is the point. If they do it, though, I'm not going to say it'll be too little too late, because definitely these two should flip. Seth Rollins, much better babyface than a heel. Like, the people want to cheer him. His heel promos suck.
Yep.
And, you know, he has the best babyface comeback in the company. And Roman Reigns, if he's getting booed out of the building, just do what you did with Carmella. Steer into the skid. The ship will right itself. I promise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just even his cousin, the guy you like to never let us forget is his cousin, The Rock. The Rock had to turn heel first before he was a great babyface. Because when he was smiling Rocky Maivia, he was getting shit on. The crowd was chanting, "Die, Rocky, die!" You're lucky it hasn't gotten that bad with Reigns. But you need to let him turn heel. Like, there's no Nation of Domination for him to join now, but let him turn heel. Let him slowly... And you're like, well, if they turn him heel, then the crowd will just cheer him. Well, good. Let the crowd cheer him. Let the crowd get used to cheering him. And then turn him back to being a face. It's not rocket science, guys.
Yeah.
You've done it before.
You can see this happening.
You're doing it right now with fucking Carmella! Alright,
yeah,
so
0
now
stars
we
for
get...
me.
Now we get to the fucking main event, and I struggle to even call it that. This match was so hyped up, so promoted, and it was
So
such shit. Orton versus Lesnar.
Even before what happens at the end,
Yeah.
it was
It was terrible.
garbage.
It was a typical Brock Lesnar match where he came out and suplexed him for like 5 minutes. They went outside, Orton hit an RKO on the table, didn't break, got Brock back into the ring, kicked out, hit another RKO. Those 2 RKOs were the only offense for which to speak of. I guess he hit the rope hang DDT.
Yeah.
But that was equally ineffective and looked dumb because Brock Lesnar is Bork and doesn't work with normal human body parts. And fucking at the end, he hits the F5, Randy kicks out, he's like, well, fuck this shit. And he starts elbowing him, and then he opens up Randy Orton. And I looked down at my phone for something, and when I looked back up, there was a pool of blood about, I'd say, 6 or 8 inches wide and 2 inches deep on the canvas.
He hit one of those gashes that, like, where all the blood in your face will just pour out onto the mat.
Yeah. And the match ended by TKO. And I guess that was the play and finish, was to end it by TKO, but they didn't want that much blood. But, like, fucking, that's a terrible way to end the match. Like, first off, you're supposed to be PG, no blood. And I don't mind blood in a match when it's done right, but, like, you fucking outlaw razor blades, and you mean to tell me that having Brock Lesnar elbow him open hard way is safer than if Randy Orton bladed? You're trying to tell me that?
No.
No. You jeopardize the health of one of your top guys and one of your only real main event players on SmackDown so Bork can look strong.
Bork Lesnar, Mayor of Seafood City.
Fucking...
And it didn't feel like they even ended it right, because they, like, vamped for, like, 2 minutes, 5 minutes after the TKO.
Yeah.
I felt like,
I was thinking, I was speeding, like, so Goldberg interferes here, I guess, to set up their match? No Goldberg. We got Shane fucking McMahon coming down, and I guess that's Brock's next feud, is Shane McMahon. Because they did the F5, and on SmackDown, Shane's like, well, it's not over between me and Brock. I'm like, oh, jeez, well, thank God. Thank Christ. Shane McMahon is going to wrestle Brock Lesnar.
What acidity. That was...
Just fuck Brock Lesnar. I'm so sick of him. I've been sick of him ever since I started watching wrestling again. Even during the time when everyone's like, oh, Brock Lesnar's so good. And I'm like, he just fucking wrestles squash matches on pay-per-view. I don't get it. I felt like I was taking crazy pills for like 6 months. Because everyone's like, oh, Brock's so good. And I'm like, how? But every match the match against Rollins at Battleground last year, shit match. Besides 2 good matches with The Undertaker, which, yeah, you better wrestle your ass off against The Undertaker, or he will probably legitimately kill you. Those are the only 2 good matches he's had in the time I've been watching wrestling again. And fucking... The Dean Ambrose match at WrestleMania should have been a star-making performance for Dean Ambrose, but Brock is like, no, I'm just going to suplex him 13 times, hit an F5, and walk out. I'm going to go fight in the UFC. and get popped for 2 drug tests that he didn't get punished for 1 iota. Like, just suspend the fucker. He would have been cleared from suspension before SummerSlam. You mean to tell me that this fucking 2 segments he had before SummerSlam were so important to the program that you couldn't have not had them? No. And fucking, he says shit that would get anyone else in trouble. He doesn't fucking care. He doesn't fucking try. He just shows up to collect his paycheck, puts on the same shit match every time where he suplexes the guy 8 to 10 times, hits an F5 and pins him. I don't know what this is building to, but just fucking beat him already. I don't care with who. It can be with Roman at this point. I don't give a shit. Just fucking beat him and cut ties with him, because I'm sick of it. He makes every show he's on worse. There's no show that had a Brock Lesnar match on it that was like, oh, thank God this show had a Brock Lesnar match on it. Except for maybe Hell in a Cell last year. But that was more because The Undertaker was in that match. And I love me some Undertaker.
For me, -5 stars. This will go down in history as a bad match, and why whenever someone asks about Brock Lesnar, I'll be like, no, he's terrible. Look at this match.
Yeah. I had this at -1 star, but you're right. I was being too generous. -5 stars! Piece of shit match. Piece of shit pay-per-view. Thank God for Takeover. Because this pay-per-view sucked. I'm out of here. I need to cool off.
Fuck,
Bye.
We're done.